Spring is officially here, which means the second season of the United Football League season is getting close. Though there are skepticism with the season tickets and the UFL players going on strike, filing unfair labor charges to the UFL. But we're going to ignore that for the moment and get excited for the upcoming UFL season. We will go over what the 2025 season has in format, all 8 UFL teams, and my predictions of this year's playoffs. There won't be a new season without any changes. Most of these changes are towards the kickoff and replays. The XFL kickoff formation is officially back for spring football since 2023. Kickoff will be at the team's own 30-yard line. Each team will be 5 yards apart at the opposing 35-yard line and the 40-yard line. The landing zone will be from the opposing 20-yard line to the goal line. If the ball doesn't reach the landing spot, the ball will be placed at the 40-yard line, 35-yard line if kicked into the end zone, or the 20-yard line if the ball hits the landing zone and lands in the end zone. Oh, and also add on to this note, there are no onside kicks. 4th and 12 at the 28-yard line is the only option if you want to get the ball back in the fourth quarter trailing. Coaches' challenges remain the same as it was in 2024. However, if a coach's challenge is successful, you can earn a second one, and that's the max amount of challenges a coach can potentially have in one game. And before you ask, yes, the extra point system and overtime rules remain the same compared to last year. So now we went over the format of 2025 season. Now it is time to look at the 8 teams that we all know and love. Man, the Renegades were unlucky last year. Losing every game that was mainly one possession games, especially with games like the DC Defenders when they were up by 10, that was just unfortunate of them. Rumor has it that Luis Perez was retiring from spring football because he couldn't solidify himself on the NFL roster, which he tried with the LA Chargers but was released. So what did he do next? Bring himself back home for his second full season on the team. The Spring King is back. The running back room is now completely different now with De'Veon Smith gone and Devin Darrington is now retired. The most notable running back on the roster is Kalen Ballage, who spent the 2023 XFL on the San Antonio Brahmas and spent a couple NFL seasons with the Dolphins and the Chargers prior. Top wide receivers on the team named Tyler Vaughns is back in the lineup alongside with Javonte Payton. And also don't forget about tight end Sal Cannella coming back as well. Defensively, they brought in one of the best defensive linemen in spring football, former USFL Player of the Year, Chris Odom. My question is this for the Renegades. Can you close out tight games? That was their weakness from last year, and I hope they do it this time. The Goliaths of spring football. I'm dead serious. Who the heck are stopping these guys? Skip Holtz is becoming the Bill Belichick of spring football. Throw him any player and he will develop him to their full potential. Matt Corral is the only QB returning to the team since Jamar Smith is now retired. I deeply respect that quarterback that started the Stallions dynasty back in 2022. Wait a second, am I reading this right? No. Alex Magoo is back? And you brought along Case Cook along his side? Who's stopping them? Seriously, who's stopping the Stallions? That's my apologies right there. That was just a complete shock. So now the real question is, who will be the starting quarterback? Skip Holtz said it will be either Matt Corral or Alex Magoo to start in week 1 against the Defenders. CJ Marable is back at the running back position with Ricky Parsons. Deion Kane also decided to come back for another championship glory with Amari Rodgers. With their veteran experience under Skip Holtz, it is up to them to help out new wide receivers like Jalen Camp and Tyron Johnson. And don't worry, I did not forget about Jace Sternberger, the tight end, back on the saddle. Defensively, there are new faces like defensive back Stephen Gilmore, who is the brother of Stephon Gilmore. Veterans like safety JoJo Tillery, cornerback Daniel Easom, and Ike Brown will assist the new kids on the block. The question is, will it be enough to get 4 in a row? Last season was a lot like the 2023 New Jersey Generals. A brilliant record of 9-1 made an appearance at the championship game and lost to not break the 500 record for the following season. It was a season of disappointment and a lot of injuries for the DC Defenders. Speaking of which, running back Abram Smith is back with DC after tearing his ACL prior to the 2024 season. This is huge since the Defenders had one of the worst rushing attacks last year. Lynn Bowden Jr. and Deion Jackson will assist Smith when needed. He was not the only one who came back. Quarterback Jordan Ta'amu and defensive end Malik Fisher are also back with the Defenders. Wide receivers Ty Scott and Chris Rowland are back in the lineup with new faces like Jacob Copeland, Joshua Matthews, and Cornell Powell. Tight end wise, there is no one that really stood out except Bradley Moore McKinley, who missed half of last season due to injury. So hopefully he will return to the game. Defensive back DeAndre Baker is back from last year, and the Defenders signed a former Brahmas defensive back of Bryce Thompson and brought in former Cowboy Kelvin Joseph. Derek Robertson is still on the other side of the defensive end position. The issue I had with the Defenders last year was inconsistency. One game they are clicking, and another day they are a deer staring into headlights. Can they bring more consistency to their game plan? Many UFL fans can agree that the Houston Roughnecks is probably the weakest of the 8 teams. I don't blame them for thinking that, especially they still brought back head coach CJ Johnson and the majority of their coaching staff despite finishing 1-9. Don't know if that makes sense, but okay then. Anyways, Nolan Henderson is the only returning quarterback to the roster, which brings up a better probability to be the team's starting QB. However, they did sign Oregon's quarterback Anthony Brown, who has seen the likes of Lamar Jackson with his time in Baltimore. It comes down to either Henderson or Brown to be the Roughnecks starting QB against the Battlehawks. Kirk Merritt is that running back that brought in the versatility in the run game and the catching game. He wants vengeance after getting injured last year. Right beside Merritt, Houston brought in Lorenzo Lingard. Wide receiver Justin Hall still remains on the lineup alongside with Kiki Chisholm and bring in new tight end Josh Peterson. The most notable pickup on the defense was 2020 first-round pick of the Raiders defensive back Damon Arnett. He was one of the players in the 2021 season that got cut from the team for controversial things while going live on Instagram. This is a chance for him to earn that redemption after jumping from team to team. This team needs to go anywhere but down. We do not need the UFL's version of the 2016 and 2017 Cleveland Browns. This team was your Tank Bowl champions last year. Additionally, they were the only team to bring a new head coach after John DeFilippo left the team. Introducing former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals and Tennessee Titans, Ken Whisenhunt. He will bring the experience to the table, but does he have the right people? They did make a trade for a former Brahmas QB, Quentin Dormady, just to cut him at the beginning of training camp. Yeah, that surely did not result in any further action, right? So in that case, this became a QB battle between former Michigan Panther QB E.J. Perry or Troy Williams, since Case Cookus is now off to the Stallions. Darius Victor will not return as running back for the Showboats. However, they did pick up Jalen Jackson from Villanova, where he became second-team All-CAA honors. There is a wide receiver that made their return, and he is the best of the team, by the name of Dywood Davis. No Vinny Papale, but there is still also Jonathan Adams. Added to the defense is former Stallions cornerback Mark Gilbert, and Boogie Roberts is part of that defensive line. Will this be their year to beat their division opponent and get rid of that punching bag title of the USFL Conference? This was a team that no one expected to make it to the dance last year. Yes, they couldn't stop the Stallions, but this was a remarkable season after going 7-3. Similar to last year, a decision has to be made at quarterback. E.J. Perry got released, so it is either Danny Etling or Virginia's Bryce Perkins. No running back of Rest Hill is in the backline, but Matthew Colburn still remains. Both wide receivers Samson Nakua and speed demon Marcus Sims are good options for the QBs, alongside with tight end Cole Hikutini. For the defense, we need to welcome back our Defensive Player of the Year, Breland freaking Speaks. Did I also mention linebacker Frank Ginda is back in the lineup as well? And on top of that, we can also bring in another Nakua brother that is one of the best DBs in the game of Kai Nakua. Their defense is one of the best in the business, although it brings me the question about their offense. Sometimes that offense can be inconsistent as well. A team that almost took down Goliath where it mattered the most. The Brahmas was another team that surprised everyone last year. In my opinion, this is the most complete team in the XFL conference. The biggest question mark is their quarterback position. Will it be former Texas A&M Kellen Mond, former Stanford quarterback and Cleveland Brown Kevin Hogan, or former Roughneck Jared Garantano? Time will tell. The Brahmas did bring back one of the fastest running backs in the league of Anthony McFarland, plus John Lovett. Their wide receiver core is still solid with Justin Smith and Jontre Kirkland. To make it better, they signed 2023 former Seattle Sea Dragon Juwan Green. Defensively, the linebacker core is still elite with Jordan Williams and Tafante Beckett. Adding to their defense, former Cleveland Brown cornerback Greedy Williams has joined the fray. Can they still defend their XFL title? I usually don't have a lot of questions for the Battlehawks since they are consistently good. They added new wide receivers like Andy Isabella and Denzel Mims, while Ja'Cory Pearson and Hakeem the Dream Butler returned to the team. Mateo Durant just took retirement, so the show will belong to Jacob Sailors, a running back that is tough to tackle. Travis Feeney and Willie Harvey is back on that linebacker crew and Peter Tamupenu on edge. The same thing can go to Quinteria Cole at cornerback. Now here comes the part where I have my concerns. Quarterback and offensive coordinator. Quarterback A.J. McCarron is no longer with the team. Manny Wilkins is the only quarterback that returned to the team. But what about the other two quarterbacks? Max Dugan was great with TCU but never saw the field with the Chargers. And Javon Cadario came out of San Jose State. Bruce Gradkowski was the offensive coordinator since the Battlehawks returned, but now he's the offensive assistant with the Lions. And because of that, Phil McGilligan will take over as the offensive coordinator. And on top of that, Darius Shepard and Marcel Aitman will not return to the Battlehawks, so their special teams and the wide receiver core could impact just a little bit. With these big question marks, will the Battlehawks fight for revenge for an appearance at the championship game at their home turf? Now this is the part where everybody likes me being an idiot. Playoff predictions. I will say for the XFL conference, it is a bit tricky to predict who is going to be there or not. So there are no wrong answers when it comes to predicting that conference. I believe that the San Antonio Brahmas will be the first seed to be in the XFL conference. Like I said before, they are the most complete team. But for the second seed, that is tough to call for. You can make any case for any team. But I'm going to go with the Arlington Renegades, since I believe this is Luis Perez's year to make a go-around. Switching to the USFL conference, I feel like it's illegal to not put the Birmingham Stallions at the 1 seed. So I'm doing that there. But for the second seed, I'm going to do it once. And I'm going to do it again and put in the Memphis Showboats. You can either put the Showboats or the Panthers as the 2 seed. And before we sign off, I want to take a moment to respect the players that were just cut, as all the 8 teams have cut their roster down to 50 players. To the players that were cut, you did your hardest. You did your damnedest. And I wish nothing but the best of you as you guys are trying to look to play for football elsewhere. I hope you guys can come back to the United Football League and the NFL someday soon. If right now, let's take a moment and take a look at these players that we have lost on this roster cut day. Thank you. So, with that being said, this is it. We're ready for the second season of the UFL. Spread the word. Convince people to watch this league. This league is made for second chances. We will get ready. I will see you with the Battlehawks and the Roughnecks on March 28th.